I would look for a picture every day and like see birds and
Good. Just getting through. Trying to set up my USAC. Distract me. I'm good. I'll get through it. Love you. Okay, Bella, but you actually Roberts on here, like, shit.
yeah. Parents take you every outside out. Well, thank you for checking.
Oh, yes. Yes, I do. Like we shared a video on your how could you We are we're good.
I call this meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. Brian, can you send out the attendance sheet? Thank you. And we're still in a bit of a transition period with our minutes takers, so I don't believe we have minutes from last week.
My staff's working on it right now. It just is a lot slower process. I have to transcribe back to back. So hopefully I'll have those to you and we're gonna try to find an easier process. And we are hopefully hiring someone for the next week. Hopefully we'll have someone for next week.
Thank you, Jessica. So before we
He had to leave the position for personal reasons, so we're just trying to, get it as soon as possible.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, before we begin, are there any amendments to the agenda? Real quick, I don't believe Emily's coming, so we will strike the previous special presentation. I'll talk more about that in the report. Yeah,
Could we add, Jeremy onto the special presentation about this piano project on campus?
yes.
Could we call it soup reassessment?
Sure. Should we put it in let's put it in new business after discussion. Do three.
Wait. Where's that gonna be at?
In new business, just put it after discussion. Okay, so we're adding a discussion on piano project, or sorry, a special presentation on the piano project. We're striking the brief special presentation, and we're adding the soup reassessment, striking EVP.
Can we add a discussion titled UC anti-Semitism?
Sure. I'm assuming you're referring to the event Davis?
Yeah.
Okay. And we're striking EVP. Any other reports we want stricken? Do we know if Ally's giving her background in the presentation?
She said she's gonna be 10 minutes late.
Okay, we'll just leave her on the agenda for now, and she can stop, no big deal. Okay, so just to review the amendments, we're striking the recess special presentation, adding a presentation on the piano project, striking an EVP officer report, adding a soup reassessment item under new business, and adding a discussion on UC anti-Semitism. Okay, any other amendments? Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Thank you, George. Is there a second? Aisha? Okay, we're moving to roll call beginning with IVP.
Yep.
EVP. Jack Rep 1.
Yes.
Jenner 2.
Yes.
Jenner 3.
Yes.
CSD.
Yes.
CAC.
No.
BAC.
Yes.
FSC.
Yes.
SBC.
Yes.
Votes by vote 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 to 0 to 0, the motion passes and the agenda is approved as amended. All right, we will now move into public comments. As a reminder, we'll have 3 rounds of public comment. The first is no audio, no video. The second is audio without video, and the third is both audio and video. We'll ask each no video though. Audio without video? No. And audio and video. Any members of the public? No? Okay. Then I will adjourn public comment at 7:09. All right, so we will now move into appointments. So the only appointments on tonight's agenda are finance committee appointments. So Ryan, would you like to kind of provide some context, maybe what these appointments do, and anything that you'd like to say on their behalf?
Yeah, sure. So the vice chair is, technically responsible to fill all the duties of the chair in case the chair is not available. Specifically, the chair is in charge of organizing workshops and like a comprehensive funding guide for the student that will be available to students that already is available to students. Just needs to be updated for some of the funds. Finance committee members, mainly what they do is review and use the applications. The vice chair is also, and the members also meet with students during office hours and try to help them find ways to Nadia and David joined the committee last year. Nadia is a third year and I'm nominating her for the position of vice chair. David is a second year and Nancy joined 2 years ago. She will be a fourth year this year. They're all very dedicated and have excellent work ethic, and I think, they're returning members, so they'll continue to do really great work.
And these are all stipend positions, correct? Great. And it varies, I think, chair, vice chair, member.
Yeah. So the members all get the same, the vice chair.
Any other questions for Ryan about the equipment in general? Any questions about the appointees, the people themselves? Did ARC conduct any? Okay, great. So let's start with Nadia's appointment. ARC, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, so we need the 3 minutes over here to review, I think I should have the only one here,
Yeah.
right? So,
So you, Jessica.
but for all 3 was 3 yeses, so maybe I should just go down for each one.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that in the email, you always specified how like you're wanted to review that you're supposed you were provided with all 3 resumes you went through. I feel like there's nothing that I could, in terms of like having opposition towards each one, and I like that's the fact that since like they've already been working, they'd be like good at the session, and I feel, I'm pretty sure that we would have to like share all the resumes, but most of them like already have a bit of one knowledge as like so she was a just kind of an intern at Goldman Credit Union and assistant to like one of the professors in economics and like a bunch of other things. So I feel like all that good experience, amazing GPA, basically got about 9. So I feel like I would guess and the other members too. Great. Are we doing one by one or do you want me to just?
We can do one by one. So let's start with Nadia. Do you have any specific insight into her?
Yeah, that was her.
Oh, okay. Great, okay. So we'll start with Nadia's appointment. This is on here as a consent item, so I'll just ask again if there's any opposition. If not, the appointment will pass by consent. If there is opposition, then we'll move into a more formal discussion and then take an action item vote one by one like normal. All right, so for the appointment of Nadia Konzuk, sorry, I butchered that, for the position of Finance Committee Vice Chair, is there any opposition to that item? Great, Nadia is confirmed by consent. Okay, next is Nancy Alvarez as Finance Committee member.
I wanted to approve this appointment as well, again, just in the same reason, but also, she's like a finance office intern, office assistant at the Institute of Pure Mathematics and other bunch of relevant experience. Also having worked in the finance community before, so I feel like we had 3 yeses over it, yeah? Yeah, we had 3 yeses, in 2 other members.
Great, thank you. Is there any opposition to Nancy's appointment? Wonderful, Nancy is also confirmed by consent. And last but not least, David Minasian. Wow, okay. Aisha.
Yeah, okay, so David was a part of the hedge fund, also served in the finance committee before, had no position in the application, he already served in finance committee, so I want to approve this over that.
Great, thank you. Is there any opposition to David's appointment? Wonderful, David is also confirmed by consent. And Brian, feel free to let them know and let me know if you need anything from me or from us. Thank you. Go Finance Committee. All right, so we're going to move into special presentations. So reminder that these are 15 minutes allocated for your presentation and then 5 allocated for question and answer. Obviously, they can be shorter, they can be longer if needed. We'll move into the first one, which is Jerry's piano presentation. Great, so if you could stand wherever you're comfortable.
I have a little slideshow, if that's okay.
Sure. Great.
Oh, perfect. Okay, hi, hello everyone, my name is Jeremy Barrett. I'm a senior here at UCLA, and I've been working on this thing called the UCLA Piano Project. And let me tell you a little bit about it. So building community through music. I think my passion is with business and music. So I try to combine both of those, and I think it's the best way to build community on the UCLA campus. So, the purpose of this is to encourage creativity, collaboration, and most importantly, happiness to the community of UCLA. So maybe you're asking, what is this? So, adding a public piano to the UCLA campus will build community to the student body. And this has been something that I've been working on for the past several months, and I'm proud to announce that we finally have the location confirmed. And, oh, one second. Oh, maybe. Let me do this. Sorry about that. Okay. Basically, I want to build a higher sense of family to the campus because so many times after class, people are just going home. Maybe they failed a test, they're just going to cry in their apartment. Instead, you can have some fun and jam out on a piano on campus. And the location is the best part. But let me tell you who has been in on this project. So this all started when I was talking to Chancellor Gene Block at his office hours. I had the idea before, and it just happened to be that I had his office hours, and he is the one who really liked the idea to begin with and kind of gave me that motivation to make it happen. And I made this happen with Margaret Leals Sotelo, referred me to Dean Smith. Dean Smith is the dean of the Schoenberg Music Building. So originally I wanted the location to be right outside the Schoenberg Music Building, but she didn't allow it because of noise complaints, and that didn't work out. But she did offer, if I found the location, she would give me a donation of a piano. So that is something to consider in the budget. So the piano is absolutely free, which is pretty crazy. I was really excited about that. A little bit about the timeline. We started way back in May. And just this month, or last month, we got the location confirmed, thanks to the help of Mr. Champawat, Ms. Zimmerman, Ms. Alexander. And basically, maybe you guys are wondering, are people actually going to play this? So it's in a very high traffic area, and I have a big promotion plan to make this work. And hopefully, you guys will share all the news, and it's going to be a huge thing. Here's the location. This is the most exciting part because the location is confirmed right over here. It's one of the most beautiful places in UCLA. As you know, there's a view over here, the entire grass area. Lots of high traffic coming in through over here. So, people are coming back from class. They're just going to be able to jam. Maybe there's not enough piano players. That's not the point. The point is that people will come in. Maybe there's a trumpet player, a choir. People just want to listen to some music. So it's not all the musicians. So join me in adding discussion to the place where it should be already. And why I came here today, everything has so much momentum. It's already confirmed. The only thing I need is funding. And I've worked a lot on getting funding. I've applied to the Arts Restoring Committee, and I'm an individual, so they did not accept my application. So they said that it's possible to co-program with one of you guys. And that's why I'm here today. And I have a budget laid out as well, and we can talk more about that. Yes. Thank you for having me.
So is this organization part of Soul or Soul?
So it's actually not an organization. That's why it was just, I kind of just started it. And I do plan on creating an organization later so that this can continue after I graduate. But as of now, I kind of just wanted to be an individual thing, just to get it done. There's so much momentum. And as far as, I also forgot to mention, as far as funding, I also was hoping to get funding in a very immediate response because there's so much momentum right now. I really want to get this done in the fall. So that's probably.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, so did Arts Restoring Community Fund, did they tell you or indicate to you that they would be willing to support it if you co-programmed? Because that would, like, because when you met with my director today, that would make it a lot easier if they at least express some sort of interest.
So he wouldn't apply to art, the organization would apply to art, you can't apply to art as an individual.
Yeah, I'm saying co-program with one of our offices.
So technically, your office would apply now.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, did they seem to indicate that they would be
Yeah.
interested?
They had a lot of interest. I think the only thing that was, that didn't let them do it was that I was in
Okay.
I just went for it just to try to see if there's any way around it.
What's wrong with the piano that you're about?
So, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a great piano. It's inside, so the whole point of this is that it's outside. And in the coffee house, it's kind of loud. People are trying to do homework sometimes. This is something with a great scenery and lots of high traffic. And it's a lot different outside, so. Yeah.
What about power hour, aka the times you can have like projected sound outside, is that considered projected sound?
So this is actually an acoustic instrument, which, that's why it's also so beautiful too. You can't have an electrified sound for that. Piano is just strings and percussion, so it's no speakers involved.
Have you ever thought about, if someone paying less?
Right, that's obviously something to worry about. There's also in the budget, I had something for repairs as well. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But, it might happen.
Do you know if there are any cameras around outside where, something did
I'm
happen?
not sure about that, but I can talk to the UCLA facilities. I'll get back to you.
Can I ask what the funding would be used for if you have the physical piano? Is it just
Right.
advertising
So-
or?
That's a good question. So the canopy is going to be one of the most expensive things. We need something to go over it. This protects it from the sun damage and as well as rain. We need advertising money, and then I wanted to throw an inaugural event the second week of November, if possible. And then also, I want to put blocks on the legs of the piano. And then a play me sign so people know that it's for everybody. And there's a few things.
I have two questions. So the first one is, who owns that specific space, and have you talked to them about installing a canopy? Because there's a lot of things with UCLA aesthetics and things like that, so I have to get approved by the campus architect.
Yeah,
So
that was a big problem that we were actually worried about getting basically, but with the help of UCLA, they used to own the spot, and now it's UCLA facilities.
Yeah, so this is the location that used to be a business that we call Campus Corner. It's an old food service, outdoor food service area, so those white picnic benches are the only remainder of what that is. At the same time, we wouldn't have gone out and sort of on our own necessarily just did that, but, I think working Jerry, we've talked with grounds, facilities, we've talked with quite a few people, and it's gone quite a bit up the ladder. And I think there's a lot of interest, from a Healthy Campus Initiative perspective, just sort of a wellness perspective. I think there's a lot of interest, and I think the site seems quite valid.
Yeah, Robert.
Yeah, I just want to say that you met with my Platform 2 director today, Kim, and we went over the details. That you actually sent us a full budget of all the dollar amounts of the money that we needed. You sent us a full plan of who owns the space and everything. So I personally feel very comfortable supporting this project in any way that my office can, and hopefully the rest of council will too. So I just want to let the rest of the council know that, he has provided a lot of the details to us. Clearly has put months of work into this project. Clearly has met with the right people for this project. And I've been in other spaces where there are public pianos. I play piano myself, and I really think that it is a valuable thing to have on campus and would increase the positive climate that exists in that area. So I really do support this.
Appreciate it. Oh, yes.
More just as a question to make sure you don't run into this issue later, because I've had problems with having like a canopy up because of like the fire marshal, and apparently it's also been a thing within this year where we're not supposed to have even tables up on Bruin Walk, so has that also been an entity that's been contacted about this? Because they might.
That hasn't come up yet, but I could talk to.
Yeah, that's just something you'll want to like make sure to check with, because I would hate to have this all set up, it can't be there for the fire marshals.
Right.
And just to illustrate, part of the reason that the budget has as much substance to it as it does is that when we talked about possibly kind of a lighter umbrella kind of cover, it didn't seem entirely adequate to give it sort of full protection. So we have been, working with Jeremy to run it past all the officials. In the end, the canopy that would be designed would certainly need to be approved by a campus buyer, campus architect, and all those things. It's a matter of designing it properly to pass those requisite needs.
Yes.
I have a question about this here. What is it should be doing? Because if it's meant to protect from the weather, I'm concerned that if it will actually protect from the weather conditions, like, the sand and decreases the insurance outside.
Right, so I thought about that as well. If it's an insanely stormy day, then we can cover up the piano. But the canopy should protect from rain and sun. And wind is fine for a piano. But if it's extreme weather, then we'll have to cover it up.
In terms of the heat, I'm concerned about the heat for a long period of time, because I understand that I like this product and I like where it's going, but seeing the longevity of it, especially considering that you're considering having an organization that will this cost you, will this piano cost 2 years, 3 years, and how long will it last they put in conditions that are outside and that's inside which pianos will be. Right,
so if you're concerned about heat, why I love this location so much is because it's actually under a bunch of trees. This provides a ton of shade. I don't know if you've ever been over there before, but the trees combined with the canopy, I think will be fine with the heat.
Yeah, I mean, I tune pianos a lot and everything and do that much work, and I know that it's extreme heat that makes the piano actually become damaged. Right. So it would have to be a day that is very uncomfortable for, I think, extensive damage to happen. And then with the canopy, I've done a lot of stuff myself on campus of trying to fight the fire marshal to do stuff on campus and everything. So the thing that he's going to ask you for is if it's metal or not usually, because anything that can catch on fire out there, he is going to be concerned about. So that might be expensive, but if it does come to something like that, it's like fire retardant or metal, then I think that would be extremely beneficial when using it.
I think I'm just confused on how this is supposed to build community. Can you explain that more?
It's just people getting together, expressing themselves in the art form. Instead of the classic walk to school, it's basically just something fun to do. And something that can bring a smile on your face. And with more smiles on your faces, I think people are going to be a lot more motivated to work and be friendly. Is that working?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm concerned about the sustainability of the project if you're putting off forming an organization until towards the end of the year. I'm concerned about how you're going to, as a single individual, be able to manage the covering if the weather is bad, going to be able to train those that will come behind you in not just the management and marketing of the project, but also all of those key processes for getting funding and doing the things that will be needed to keep it going. I'm wondering why you're so resistant to getting an organization together now.
Right, so I actually did try to apply for an organization to be people who do that. I just haven't really found anyone to be on the organization. I'm sure it's not that hard, but It's just that some of momentum, I just want everything to happen super quickly. But as far as if you're worried about me not being able to take care of it, this is something I'm extremely passionate about, and I will make sure that it happens. Whether it's a phone call, whether it's email, ASU still there, I can promise you that.
I mean, yeah, I think you told me that your concern wasn't you didn't want to have a student organization, it was more so that you didn't want to get it now, because you want to actually get it implemented first, just because you felt like it was an urgent matter, is that correct?
Yeah.
So, and I think the reason you're also here, right, is to also find people who could potentially collaborate or put it under their office's purview in the future to manage, you know, if it is a day where it does need, you know, a particle grid or something, then that would happen. So I just want to make clear, that's why you're here, is to try to find collaborators in that sense.
Yeah. Any more questions? Yes.
Can I just be real quickly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like our job is to represent like the student body, right?
Right.
And so it's worthy for me to know that you can find other people to join you, like with this purpose in mind, to form an actual like student body. Because then I'm thinking, if you can't find people who are passionate enough about this project to form an org with you, then how do I know that there's enough students on campus who are going to be passionate enough to use this space? And
Right. That's the concern. The thing is, I haven't looked for people to join an organization yet. It just hasn't come up. I haven't found someone who I wanted to be on an organization with yet. So I'm sure if I post it somewhere, I'm sure you get infinite responses for people who want to join the project. Yeah.
I admire what you're trying to do and understand the need for momentum, but because everything is really hard to do in terms of bureaucracy, like joining, like making an organization, finding people to be some interest, all that kind of thing, I highly recommend maybe trying like now to see who's interested in it. And because so time to like sign your organization can close, trying in the winter, but getting everything like sort of all the questions that we brought, I know some of them you haven't considered, and I think maybe you think they're worth considering. So maybe like trying to work out those kinks and come back in. Or at least even for the organization, being able to apply to ARPA, being able to apply to different funding money. Because I'm not saying we're not the only way to fund you, but we're not the only way to fund you. But I personally, like the idea because I have friends who do like to jam out randomly and like they chime with the comments, it's always complaints. Like I understand wanting something public for people to enjoy, but it needs to be something that we can like ourselves that can be sustained. So making sure that you know who will sustain it, so that as these things are falling into place, it doesn't dissolve by spring.
One thing too is that if you do decide to take that new suggestion and wait until winter and like get this all work out, that is when like surplus would open, for example, if you were to register a sole organization or anything, and then you're not gonna rely on some like crusty contingency fund, you know, for $700 to fund this. No, because you told me yourself, you can't rely on that, you need more. I mean, your budget shows you need almost, you know, 5 times that. So obviously that's not a route you can take. You need to take something larger, and surplus is usually a way where organizations go to get a large amount of funding, and that would be open winter for you. Because like contingency is good for a lot of organizations who need $1,000 or less, but in this case, like it wouldn't be able to work for you.
Okay, and just really quick, if I decided not to do that, what would be the next step to get funding in maybe the next few weeks?
You would have to, yeah.
So you could apply to contingency, but like you said, maximum $1,000 typically, so you're not going to get $2,500. Are you familiar with the USAC Programming Board of Directors? It's a fund that's like co-sponsored by USAC and UCLA Board of Directors. They provide funding for large events, like something like this. That application is due next Friday. You're not going to get everything you ask for, but you could get a significant amount of that. Plus contingency, maybe art, and then I don't know if you have creatives for the campus community, you might be able to get $2,500. But you have to start moving very quickly.
Okay. Was it possible for me to, not saying it would happen, is it not possible for me to join CAC
Time is the issue.
Right.
But my issue is that I don't see this as being cultural. And two, I still am confused about there not being enough student support. Like, I need to know that this is something other people want. Because we do concerts on Mondays, and we have the piano open for people to play in the concert, like, on Mondays inside the coffee house. And we do, like, music classes during World Fest, so I just need to know how this is different from everything else that's already going on, and if there's support for this.
That's kind of my current concern as well. I admire your passion. I think the fact that you've got so many campus entities on board is awesome. The one thing that is my point of concern is, as Serena has mentioned, like, to what extent is this something that the student body can get behind, and like how successful can it actually be that's implemented? Because it's now, since you're asking like for funding, that's like, I'm sure there are other organizations that can present a plan that is, where there's already people behind that they have the support, if you will, behind them already. And so I think that makes for a strong, proposal to be funded. So I consider like maybe having a trial run in the fall, right? Like maybe host a one-time event for the fall only to see if people actually come up. Then you can use that, like when you have the funding these are the number of people that showed up to play the piano on this one day, and it was just a one-time thing. Can you imagine if this was actually something that was implemented long-term? Like, I think that sort of trial run might be beneficial, and it might also allow you to gauge the public's interest as well.
Here's what I can do. So if you want to come to like the concerts on Monday and talk about this to people who like usually show up to the concerts, and maybe bring some piano players and talk about like how it helps with anxiety for other people, or how it's like giving you a sense of community, I can help you get that student support, but I can't give you money until I know you. You feel me?
There's like a lot of like basic things people do too to get that support, like petitions, surveys, those sort of things. Like all of our offices kind of do that in some way. So like getting those little simple things too and bringing it, those go a long way to show like how many students actually support you.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me.
I can just come with other consumptions, that's all right. Again, thank you for being here and for presenting. I know this group can be intimidating and scary to have a lot of people staring at you. So thank you, and I think our biggest encouragement moving forward is to bring other people on board, maybe register as an organization or just bring some other folks in. And I want to reiterate what Ryan said, there are so many funding bodies on this campus, BOT, contingency, there's so many. So I really encourage you to be diligent in applying to those as soon as possible, because funding can be confusing and difficult sometimes. So make sure you have the time to figure out how to fill out the applications and get those in, because we have money if we want to give you money. We just need you to fill out the applications and meet the eligibility requirements and form an organization.
Sounds good.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah.
From undergraduate student association, could we like somehow maybe a bylaws or something invite them in the agenda to like allow them to speak?
I'll take my time and I'll report.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, cool. Yes, do it. Thank you.
Yes.
Ali, are you here for? Yeah.
Okay.
You're striking that?
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so we're gonna move into officer member reports. I will first, before I go, I know there's some members of the public that are here that might want to speak, yes? So I'm gonna go ahead and cede some of the time in my officer reports, but take as long as you would like.
Is there any specific?
Wherever you want to stand, wherever works for you.
So this is just a short comment. I'm going to be now USAC Policy 133, which plans to implement a centralized surveillance system on the school. The campus already does possess, I think, around 1,000 cameras. But what this policy is trying to do is bring a look under the administrative vice chancellor's kind of control. You'll be appointing a designated campus authority, and that designated campus authority will then be appointing operators to kind of oversee the cameras within different areas of the campus. So the policy is already in place, I guess, and it's been approved by administration, but it is currently under its 30-day review period, which ends on Monday, actually. So we believe that, placing more cameras on campus will affect the student population directly, yet we feel that the student population isn't aware of what's going on. So the purpose of the town hall tomorrow is to allow students that might be concerned or have an opinion on the policy to come together and raise that concern. It will be housed at the Student Activity Center, the basement, the conference rooms 1 to 3. We will be providing dinner as well. But it's just like I said, but I need to voice those concerns in hopes that there is a general idea of many of the gray areas within the policy. And hopefully, like I said, if there's no comment, then the policy will pass as is. So it's just a game of any for students to voice their.
So people will be constantly watching the cameras like every day?
Yeah. So that's what the well, that's what the operators are for. So the designated campus authority, which will be implemented by some central bank, will be appointing operators. So these operators have designation to watch these cameras.
Is there anything on Facebook or social media that we can like share about this, to get the word out that this is happening?
So I personally did a Facebook post. I know it was posted also did one. But the thing is, like I said, this email was sent out on September 11th, and I don't know if a lot of students, it was still over the first weeks, they were still kind of getting used to it, they were still planning out the schedule. So not a lot of students are aware of the situation, so that's why we're trying to do a massive outreach by tomorrow and hopes to get as many students as possible. In my part, I've been working as a chairperson of SLC, the Student Initiative Outreach Committee. I reached out to the members of my committee and formed a coalition with Campus Detention Committee, the Community Programs Office Student Association, and the Student Risk Education Committee. So hopefully we do a major outreach within, what we can. We have reached to a handful of administrators on campus, and we'll come here as well to outreach to you all and invite you to come and voice the possible concerns you might have. The policy is easily found online. So you saw the policy 133, security camera systems. But yeah, that's what will be happening tomorrow. And there's a couple flyers we have.
Will you text me details too?
Yeah.
Cool, and I'll share it with everyone.
Is it gonna be live streamed, like, can we make public comment from elsewhere?
We are working on a link to the public comment.
Is there like a Facebook page on Instagram?
No, the thing is, we were kind of full this last week, so I've been working for the past 2 days on kind of setting the event, setting up the space, and outreaching. So there's no Facebook event, as to say, but I know there is a circulation of this flyer online.
Is that something you would like one of us to take care of making? Because a lot of our Facebook pages have like 2,000 plus followers on it, and like we can invite more like that if you want.
I mean, the more outreach, the better. We're trying to get as many students as possible there.
CPO's posted about it, so.
Yeah, so the UCLA Community Programs Office did make a post about it.
Okay.
Invited, if it's an open event, everyone's welcome to come and voice their concern, their opinions. Like I said, the policy is online, so I think it's like a 13-page document, too long to be a policy. But we, like I said, we do believe that the students are kind of unaware of what's going to happen, so we're just trying to voice, or to one, educate them on the policy, and two, kind of gauge what their beliefs and opinions are on that.
You want that as an event, that's what we use, I could try to get it up at the end of tonight. Happy to do that, yeah.
And it just sounds like a policy.
Oh, I agree, thank you. Any other questions for Oscar?
I guess, what is your main concern if this were to be implemented or if it were to pass?
Well, we're going to be directly to like what the concern of, as individuals, we just wanted to provide space for for students to voice their concerns after reading policy. But personally, as working with outreach programs, especially like in underserved populations, I do believe that implementation of security cameras on campus, especially at SAC, where we do tend to provide services for LGBT students, undocumented students, students that come from communities that already have employees, would probably take care of them. From accessing these resources that we provide,
Thank you for coming and speaking. Would anyone else like to chime in? Okay, well, thank you for coming. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. I will move, I'll move out of then after council or after council. Okay, then I move into my potential report. So as always, to start with appointments, nothing really new, just continue to do outreach. Should have a few for you all next week, so look out for that. And CSNE is already starting their work, which is super exciting. Next is internship. My office, and my internship directors are conducting interviews this week, so we'll hopefully have our internship class finalized at some point this weekend, which is just, again, a really exciting time to be bringing in new first year, second year transfer students into USAC and getting them excited about the work that we do. So we'd love to collaborate with all of y'all's internship programs on some, USAC-wide mixer, it's a new kind of thing. And then lastly, just to speak on, again, the ongoing situation with Creek Life, my office and I are working on collecting feedback from members of the community about the ongoing trainings. I went to one last night and we'll hopefully be attending a few in the future. And obviously after attending, I have some thoughts and opinions. So my office is working on collecting input on that. I have a survey, Google form that I just made last night that I'll send to you all, post on Facebook, stuff like that. So if any of you, any of your staff members kind of have insight into how it's going, that we can create a more coordinated proposal to share with the office for next year's trainings or further trainings, let me know. And then going off what we're talking about in the group meet today, I'm meeting with the IFC president tomorrow to hopefully get the ball rolling on some sort of forum rather than having them come here for a special presentation, which I said in the group today contributes to some sort of power dynamic or non-neutral setting, whatever that is. Having more of a facilitated, coordinated dialogue between leaders in both Panhellenic and IFC and hopefully other Greek councils as well, community, with us, facilitated potentially by Intergroup Relations or another entity that does that. So if any of you have strong thoughts on how you would like that to look, how you would not like that to look, please let me know, and I'll let you know how many we did with no tomorrow shows. So, any questions on any of that? Cool. All right. Well, we will move into Ivy.
Yeah. So the first thing obviously is the retreat. So that's coming up. It's the 20th to the 21st. I hope you are excited. We got a really, really, really cool place. We're catering Olive Garden to come up with that stuff. So I just want to thank Alex. Do y'all have Olive Garden?
How many breadsticks?
I hope you are excited. Alex Salcedo took a lot of time to actually make that happen. So just wanted to shout out him. He did most of the work for the booking and getting all that stuff ready. So I really appreciate his work. We did a poll in our group chat, and we were wondering if we could invite the administration reps to come with us for dinner that day, on Saturday, to eat with us and discuss things with us. It was a unanimous of people who voted for you all to come, so we really want you to come, to be transparent. So,
but no pressure if you want your Saturday night to yourselves, I understand.
Yeah, so just let us know. I mean, it's a bougie guy, so we really would appreciate it if you all wanted to. If you don't, though, we understand. Yeah, so hope you were excited about that. Let us know if you can't make it. I know, Serena, you said you couldn't. Bethany, were you able to? Okay, we're good. Okay, cool.
Robert, how are we doing?
So George, myself, Claire are driving. I think that covers everything.
Yeah.
I can fit 2 people.
I can fit 4.
I can fit 4 including.
So I have no seat and as you.
So you, we'll figure it out, we'll like make.
Also, it's very, okay, it's not very, very close by, but it's pretty close by, like, in Uber, it's gonna be $4 or $5 each to go.
I'll take multiple trips, I don't mind. You can have it in my.
I will, oh, and Alex is driving over, I'm sorry. So I think we have enough people to cover it. So, any other questions about that? Okay, cool.
Is it possible for you to send like a preliminary agenda?
Yes, I can do that. So I've been working with Alex on like talking points, things like that. We're trying to make it like formal but not formal, like things that we can discuss about collaboration and whatnot. But also like having it so we can also fund everything. So I'll send that soon. We're still developing that, so it's like a couple of days. Anything else? So the next thing obviously is our internship too. We're basically on the same schedule as Office of the President. We've been conducting interviews. I'm excited to have our internship program start next week. Hopefully we'll have around 20, 25 people that are in the actual internship program that will be integrated into the office by winter quarter. Other than that, really the main activities of Platform 1, I'm gonna let Julia handle most of it, but basically Julia, Ginny, and I, we've been working together on putting on our Good Close to People Redistribution Center community meeting. It's October 17th from 6 to 7 p.m. We've been working with CSC Bruinholt. They actually need a bunch of clothing and shoe donations, so we're going to give them some of those to be surplus right now. And Movement Arts Club has been doing incredible things. You all want to see it, just look at our Facebook page of them doing mural work and everything in the space. It's really beautiful. So really happy with all the student collaboration that's going on and looking forward to it. Yeah, sorry, the gathering again is, it's the 17th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Julia will talk more about it, but we sent out invites to people who we thought were really devoted to the progress since it is a conference room. But like if any of you all want to show up and talk about collaboration, like especially the entities and offices that we've been working with, that would be really helpful. That's it, yeah.
All right, General 1.
So I know I sent y'all an email about this like conversation thing. It's only 2 hours. If anyone from your office is available, it's more like it's kind of like tabling, but like after not really tabling. We have cookies and stuff, and like we just like have a little sign board. So if you want to stop by between 1 to 3 tomorrow, just like let me know by tonight. Also, if you are still hiring, you can just email me your flyer. My staff will print it out, and we'll just have a bunch of those. There, I know Claire and Bella said they'd be there. I'll be there for 40 minutes as well. So just like shoot me a text if you or anyone from your office would like.
I don't have my email. But I got the email from you.
Really? Really? Okay, I just copied from my. Oh, okay. I just copied emails from like the office and said that. But I don't. Sorry about that. Alright, going on to this might be like slightly complicated, and I just like spoke with a bunch of people on council about this as well. So basically, if you're an international student at UCLA, you need to be enrolled in 12 units for your visa to be valid. However, as students, we all know oftentimes we find ourselves in situations where we have to drop a course, we have to like in situations where like it's a week class and we know for sure we can't do something or like really cannot finish a certain course. I've talked to Nazir about this, and we're trying to have like an emergency course kind of, like it's going to be a life skill based course. This process is going to go through the academic senate. I don't know if anyone from your office like wants to be like interested in like collaborating or coordinating this. And I'm not personally sure which other student populations this might be able to help, but what I think this will do is that if we pass week 5, you need to drop a course. You can, and it's a special case, you request a BTE to be enrolled in this like life skills course. It will still give you the unit, that means your visa is going to stay valid and you'll still be enrolled in 12 units. Second thing that we're trying to work on is, I don't know if everyone's like familiar with like how the Blue plan works, but at this point UCLA but here's considerations like whenever there's like a natural disaster in a specific country, for example Indonesia, like folks from student affairs that reach out to like students from these countries. However, they don't take consideration to any like financial like fluctuations in the currency, and sometimes these are very, for example, right now countries that get money from the IMF are there's like a certain like devaluation of their money. So for example, for the Pakistani rupee, it's like 20% more than it used to be, like something like that. So oftentimes students that do convert it into currency and pay the situations, find themselves in situations where they immediately cannot cope up with stuff. So we're trying to potentially have either a petition or like I suppose specifically work with organizations to really come up with a more fluid paying plan, because I know officer really cannot enroll into fluid paying plan because the system's coded that way. And as international students, we don't have access to like any loans or any other like let's say additional services. So if anyone's going to be interested in working in that, Lydia and I already talked about it. We talked to Maria, Dean Maria represents easy about it as well, and we have a meeting scheduled for next week potentially. So if anyone has any ideas or wants their offices to potentially work with us, then sorry, that was not good.
Thank you. Keep us posted as to how we can support whatever works out.
Also, this reminds me, we should at some point get to working on bylaws for ISR, the international representative. We should really push it, like, I feel like we should get to it sometime during fall, just because it'll be closer to elections and a lot of like other elections go on that stuff. I know there's like preliminary ones, but like, maybe just get a group chat going or a Google Docs set up with folks and whatnot.
Is that something that you would become role and facilitate?
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Jennifer,
So this past week, myself and Julia and, what's the official title of that, department? Oh, food waste recovery. Yeah, so we've been, having meetings and putting some, plans in motion for some collaboration for food waste redistribution, from the greenhouses. So, it would be tentative starting, with my own sorority. The kind of objective is to get, the food that would have been thrown away from those, mass lunches and dinners, redistributed out into the community. Right now, we are trying to meet with entities to get some insight on, health code. Roy, do you have any knowledge about health code or food stuff, over find us? Yeah.
Based on experience of swipes and other projects, I think it's a major issue with food has been open touch, open handle being redistributed, and I think we're gonna see that. That's the issue, the whole issue that, during that had the whole of last year, and that's why it's been forever to get off the ground, is that all food had to be sealed. And that's why the only thing that could be reached out is potentially sandwiches that are within their own casing. Because of health violations.
We set up a meeting, with People in Hunger Project to see if like they could give us like any insiders, and we also acknowledged like that they were at the forefront of this like movement last year, so we're really trying to like bring them in. My personal thought is like maybe all those food regulations happened because it was like UCLA new services, so we're wondering if we can like get around that.
I really think it even worse, because it's no longer UCLA guidance services. If anything, UCLA guidance services should make this safer, if they oversee it. If you get what I mean, this is coming from an outside entity, which makes it even more horrible.
Yeah.
But it's worth setting up a meeting, so if you have any issues, contact me now, let me know. I have dead areas, all dead areas.
We'll definitely, keeping everyone updated on our trials and tribulations. But the ultimate goal is kind of just to ensure that the food isn't going in the garbage, whether that's, I know that the church, on Hillgard and West Home, they do, kind of like a food drive, it's like buffet style. So definitely open to any other, like suggestions if organized entities on campus fall through for those, just as long as it's getting into, someone's plate that needs it.
And for on-campus, EH&S is your contact. And for on-campus, environmental health and safety is the primary contact. And the primary health inspector is going to be Jenny Wong, WUNG.
Something probably the former prime universe at Hillgard Haven. I'm wondering how that space could be involved in this, because other than it's in neutral, the zoo doesn't talk about, there's like a former sorority house still is on Hillgard, and I think provides housing to some folks. But it's kind of a nice neutral site, so maybe it would run into like
not having an issue with not telling the students coming. I don't.
That's
Yeah,
actually what we're reaching out to.
yeah. Hey, yeah. I think it's called Hillgard Haven now.
House. Yes, I think it's still on.
But I know Canada works out of there doing recruitment, so maybe you want to ask them how they do that.
I spoke to Lindsay at the Chancellor's breakfast. She's obviously not an expert on, food stuff, but each Pan-Hellenic sorority that has a house is kind of like owned and operated by their own like housing board. Yours is like owned by nationals, I believe, but these are kind of like private contractor chefs, if you will, so it might be different, like for example, you cook a meal and you hand it out on like to the neighborhood. I feel like it could be the same type of thing where it's coming out of like a home cooked meal as opposed to like the name of UCLA Dining Services, but all things that will be sorted out in the coming days and weeks. So I'm super excited for that. And then Robert and I have been making plans for getting institutionalized bins in greenhouses. Pretty much it.
So the first one, like I said last week, my office turned over 100 schools for the third annual Islamic Immigrants College University of Action October 24. We'll be giving free I Am Immigrant shirts at the event. And the second one that I have is that my office is being contacted with the Learning Curve Department to implement, to see how we can implement the National Suicide Hotline number on it for the next school year. And then the third one is I contacted today the UCG to try to help with their efforts to demand the use of IOS for companies that work with IS to give them more resources. The National Suicide Hotline. If any officers work together with any of those issues, please let me know.
Great, all right, FSC. Oh, sorry, yeah. I was taking notes, okay, go for it.
Okay, so payment applications are still open for Johnson Center, Transportation Services Advisory Board, and Campus Sustainability Committee. I reached out to Catherine, but she hasn't emailed me back. I'm not sure why, so if she does, then maybe we can bring her in next week. To revisit her potential placement thing. Our back fellowship application is open, and for more office updates, so our Right to Microwave platform, which is spearheaded by Ty and Claire in my office. They're working with entities from CPO to map out like all the places where you can find a microwave on campus. I don't know when the map's gonna get done if you're doing that currently. Our Access on Board team collected data this past summer and student narratives from students with disabilities to see like how their experiences have been with UCLA infrastructure. And they're going to be hosting a town hall week 6 of fall quarter where students with disabilities can express their concerns directly to like admin. And they're also doing a disability campaign where they share student narratives. And I believe that's going to be on like Facebook, and then we're trying to get like the Kirkhoff Art Gallery, hopefully. So yeah, that's what they're looking into. And then our team is looking at implementing policy. So I know facilities management, like their admin have been trying to do some things over the summer with that, and then back itself has been trying to do something, but essentially it's like like the way you can think about it is kind of like a vending machine where you swipe your joint card and you get this reusable, disposable takeout container. And it'd be like an opt-in option for students to use so that they don't have to use like the traditional like paper containers. But we're just trying to get that together right now so we can present it to the NCCLA facilities manager.
Okay, now FSC, sorry.
Very good. So, just a couple general updates. The first is that our fellowship application is open until Friday afternoon. So if any of you or your friends or loved ones or anyone wants to be part of this fellowship, make sure to apply. Also, applications to be for the Department Access Task Force are still open. We're looking to appoint 2 commuter students or students who have been commuter students in the past to this task force. Basically, the responsibilities will be to have quarterly meetings with various campus entities like UCLA Parking and Transportation Services, etc. FSC will be attending the commuter breakfast this Thursday morning to see if we can get any folks to apply there, because it's been rather challenging to find commuter students whose schedules work with this, but hopefully we'll find some commuter breakfast. And then today we have a very effective meeting with the CalFresh Initiative at UCLA to hopefully bring CalFresh benefits to ASUCLA facilities soon. They expressed different points of cooperation, and one of the things that they were interested in doing is possibly giving a special presentation here at Council. One, to voice what they've been working on, what their hopes and visions are, but also to kind of gauge our support and whatnot. So Robert, I will classify when all that needs to be submitted since we're going to be working together and stuff. And then lastly, I did want to address the Daily Bruin article that was released earlier. And so I wrote down my thoughts just because I am a little scatterbrained, so I didn't want to make any mistakes when saying this. But I guess just generally, I think that it's definitely super important to always contextualize allegations of sexual assault with regards to where, not necessarily where they take place, but the sort of institutions that are being implicated, if you will. And I do think that Greek Life is a well-funded and well-resourced institution, and that the chapters that the chapter presidents are granted a certain level of discretion about how they proceed with allegations of sexual assault, which can then allow for these cases to be swept under the rug until the story is broken. And I think that is the main difference between Greek Life and, say, an organization that's registered through Solar or something. And so, just to reiterate that, the presidents of these chapters have such a great responsibility because they're living with members of their organizations. They are granted a large degree of power as to how they wish to proceed. And it's not until they're being held responsible for acting one way or another with regards to how they deal with these allegations that is super important. And I will say that I am disappointed that neither the ISC president nor the panel president is here today, just because, I wish I could voice these concerns with them in person and directly. And so hopefully that can be something that takes place in a more quote-unquote neutral environment if it's going to happen. But this is something that I think is important. And I also wanted to directly mention the TV article and say that I do agree with that these issues should not be necessarily politicized, but I do think that is within the USAC's purview to release statements and to show solidarity and to put pressure on administration when we believe that administration has not been doing enough, or when we don't believe that they have been acting accordingly. And so I do think that that is something that it's within our responsibility to do, and I think administration should be acting not in a way that is only lip service, but actually, putting pressure then on ISC to release, not even to give more Title IX trainings, but I mentioned it earlier, to give crisis management trainings, right? Because this is to the degree in which resident assistants and other, campus entities like new student advisors and just anyone who's going to be working with students who, because of their position of power, can have people come forward with these allegations, right? All these other positions across campus are trained with a certain degree of, diligence, right? And that's something that I think that is missing. So that's what I wanted to say.
Any thoughts, comments on that subject? Thank you, Jay.
On the topic of Cal Fresh, we would love to talk about this. I'm curious, actually, I was in a basic needs related phone call last week. Is there precedent for this at other UCs? Like, are there other UCs where they're allowed to use Cal Fresh on campus?
Yeah, that's what they mentioned too, that Accomplish is like so far like present on the campus, and we're one of the last ones.
Yeah.
We're not the last ones to have it, available.
Yeah, and again, also to relate so much to my UC one conversation I'm having, it seems like UCLA is somewhat behind the curve on basic needs security. So I would love it if that was no longer the case. So just a quick digression. All right, CEC.
So we closed our application, on Sunday. We got like a ton of responses, which was really cool. And we're interviewing them this week, and we'll hopefully have new staffers by this weekend or maybe next week. We have a retreat this weekend. We're gonna do some fun bonding stuff. We're all doing a scavenger hunt, throughout the city of LA to get to our retreat house in Venice. So like, we're saving money because we're not that far. And they have to take a big bus, so I'm really excited to see how that goes. Also on Saturday, we're doing a week of, Kenya Reunion with Melissa McCarthy. And we're in collaboration on this with a bunch of, organizations and entities that like support new filmmakers and female filmmakers, like Women in Film, Alliance of Women Directors, and Film Fatales. So I'm really excited about that. I won't be able to go, but if anybody can go, just check it out. And then we are starting, this is kind of in advance, but it's good to start thinking about it now because like, basically Campus Movie Fest starts on October 30th, but every year a lot of the like film awards and the film press start making their films way before. So then like, and what Campus Movie Fest is we supply you with everything you need to like make your own short film. And that includes like absolutely all the gear, like a laptop, cameras, microphones, like tons of stuff. But every single year, like there's these incredible productions that obviously weren't made within the week that we give you for Campus Movie Fest. So if you want to get on that and start getting ahead of any power equipment, do that. Or if you don't know do that. But otherwise, October 30th is when it happens. We're gonna have an info session on October 29th. Then it runs for a week, and through that, you have the opportunity to like advance into other film festivals throughout the country, and then potentially even go to Cannes. So like, that would be really amazing. Yeah, so that's what CSC has going on for this week.
Thanks. All right, TSR is not here, so we'll move into SWC.
Awesome. So our entry application is open. As for the committee applications, I think most of them are very closed, but some of them are still open. Some of them are actually on a willing basis here. So if you know anyone that's interested, they can totally apply. So SWC CPR first aid will be holding a large training class for, so Greek Life actually reached out to SWC CPR and they'll be training about 100 to 120 students. They originally asked for 300, but that wasn't feasible, so they cut it down to 100 or around 120. Basically what they'll be doing is we're planning on covering regular CPR, so hard saver CPR, along with alcohol poisoning and choking. It's planned to be held in February, so that should be something to look out for. SWC Brew Necessities is finalizing a few more things they need to do before the menstrual hygiene station #1 on the hill. So that's continuing Christine stuff from last year. And then SWC Body Image is having a movie screening. In a few weeks, I'll mention more details next week, but basically it's about a movie about how body image issues are portrayed through media. And then lastly, we have our next weekend. So, anytime. That's all.
All right. Thank you. CIC, how was Joshua's trade? Cool.
Oh, it was amazing. It was so good. Tangential, perfect weather. It was sunny and breezy. So no one was like, that was awesome. So, social access still out. We're closing this Friday as well. More information, more flyers. call me after me, and I'll give you more flyers, these are not much. But, yeah, so make sure to, spend what we've been leaving, also I recommend leaving flyers at the transfer center, because they've run out like twice when I put them there, so people are definitely interested. Also potentially, there's other places, but I just don't know. Also, all our projects are hiring directors and general volunteers, so if you have any individuals that you who you know who are interested in doing long-term community service, please dive into our website or Facebook page, we'll be sharing about it. Alternative Grace is still taking applications, I'm personally probably gonna apply myself. Very worth it, again, Alternative Spring and Open Brings, what right now the application is open for both. So if you wanna do Alternative Spring Breaks, I recommend you still apply now, because we still have to apply. Retreat went really well, we went over a lot of the plans for our new staff positions and how they're going to be integrated into current staff, and then working to connect different entities with CSC more efficiently. And then lastly, SFS, which is supplemental medical service. Finally has a full committee after opening our committee application to settle residents on campus. So I'm hoping to have our first meeting this week, so we can start looking at allocations next week. So I will let you know when the app is open online, and then hopefully we can share that with anyone who can feel with me.
Next, NBC, she is still at left on vacation again, which is a wonderful event. Thanks for Aisha for helping table and Jamie for sending a representative. I got to see one of my predecessors, Jasmine Hill, speak, so that was really cool because I stare at her photo every day, and it was just cool to see her in the flesh. So she's getting her PhD at Stanford, so obviously thriving. Good for her. All right, Kat.
We closed our applications yesterday. It's like the most applications we've ever received since I've been in CAC, so it's exciting. Monday concerts come through. Wednesday is the word come through. Our retreat is next weekend. We're also going to Palm Springs because like Airbnbs are way cheaper out there. I will. Also, during my little update, Justin Jackson has come and I've decided to give him some of my time for a review.
Good evening, council. Okay. Prepare a statement about the budget. Okay. Good evening, council. I hope each of you are well and that all your internships are out to your staffs as well. And also, I highly recommend that you guys try to do a joint internship retreat with all the offices. I know that's what we tried last year, and the others would definitely love that. But that's why I'm here. I'm here once again to advocate for myself to become the election board chair, and I want to thank the several council members that allowed me the opportunity to be an advocate in front of all of you here. However, I first want to start with some falsehoods that were made last week with respect to my name, but in the absence of my president. First, I never stated that, quote, I was treated unfairly during the election process, unquote, with the office of the president. That claim just does not stand on any solid ground. For me to know that I was treated unfairly, I would have to understand how other applicants were treated as well, compared to myself. I just do not have the explainable time to care for something as trivial as being treated unfairly, quote, the application process, unquote, which essentially amounts to a Google form and a Google Hangouts issue. Being treated unfairly is something radically different in my eyes and the identities that I lead. I can only hope that I was not treated unfairly, but with equity. However, I will go on record and say that a handful of applicants who did also apply for election board have reached out to me and said that they had an uneasy feeling going through the election process for them. I can't speak for them, but that's what they have reached out to me and said. Second, it was mentioned here in my absence last week that I am somehow entitled to or deserve as being election board chair. I want my words to be very clear, very exact, and very precise here. Do not ever insinuate or ever call me entitled. That is extremely disrespectful to me and how hard my family has worked to get into where I am today. I have worked extremely hard for every single accolade on my resume, for everything I've done here at UCLA. So please do not ever put entitled and Justin Jackson in the same sentence. You clearly wouldn't know me. What was that? Yes, I can just merely say it may have been you all's first week having an official council, so some training may still be on there, but just know that your words are very pertinent to the UCLA student body, and that each word that you say definitely has an impact on our campus. So choose your words carefully, and if you are going to if you are going to speak on someone else's behalf, please come with the facts and receipts. That's simple enough and just general advice moving forward as elected officials. In addition, I addressed both of these concerns offline with council members, and I hope we were able to have a meeting of the minds. Now that we're into election board chair, at this moment, I feel that I'm essentially being told that there is a limit to how much you can achieve here at UCLA. I'm too tall for any arbitrary ceiling to be placed above me. Yes, I was one of the EVPs for Res Life. Yes, I was Res Life Vice President. Yes, I was Res Life President. Yes, I chaired 5 different subcommittees every single week as Res Life President. Yes, I have programmed, hosted, and emceed programs for up to 2,000 plus students each quarter during my time in Res Life. Yes, I worked with the Centennial Campaign my first year. Yes, I served on the Safety Task Force after UCLA's first and hopefully only school shooting. Yes, I served on the new housing project of the UC Office of the President General Napolitano, mandated we increase our enrollment. Yes, I served on judicial board. Yes, I tried three cases before judicial board, and currently 2 for 3. Yes, I ran twice for USAC, once on the slate and once as an independent. Yes, I served as a council member. Yes, I served for a full year on the Constitutional Review Committee. Yes, I wrote the guiding constitution for Res Life with my vice president. Yes, I worked with Chief Justice Rachel Beda to amend the judicial board bylaws. Yes, I have sat in your very seats dozens of times and passed dozens of USAC bylaws. And yes, I'm now offering myself to be the next election board chair. I truly love my school and have a passion to build it up to stay being the best that it is. Truly, what more do you want from me? Specifically to the office of the president, what was wrong with me as a candidate? Why am I now the victim to an achievement ceiling? If it was not the plan for me to get this far and to be this persistent, well, I do not apologize because I have extreme grit and persistence in everything that I do. I'm working towards this appointment. I did not expect this appointment to be handed to me, just as in the 20 years of my life, nothing has ever and never probably will be handed to me. That is why I have been working, sweating, and trying to prove myself to all of you, or to the 3 people in the office of the president. I am not entitled, and I'm just a damn good hard worker. I have offered all I can with my time and resources to demonstrate that there is no one on campus with my unique qualifications, no one that has seen student government from dozens of angles, no one that, quite frankly, after all of that institutional knowledge, would want to come back in their last year at UCLA and serve in this capacity. However, I chose to do so because I believe that after the complete mess of the spring quarter that each one of us endured through last year, that the campus deserves someone that was the most qualified and most merited to come back and fix what was destroyed last year. The risk and reward, however, were rejected at last week's council meeting, though, when I was painted as the entitled bad guy. I will end with this. After the report council meeting and the election board has not yet been appointed, I'm asking the office of the president to kindly remove my application from consideration at this point. I already believe too much time has been wasted not having seated anyone for the election board to accomplish the lofty goals that are needed to fix what we saw last election cycle, and to even build up an election that will stand for years to come. Appointing anyone after week 4 is a huge disservice to that person leading this final leading into midterms week, and it is also a disservice to a campus that was traumatized by the incidents of last year. I am not one to use colorful language, but you will find yourself in a true shit show if you do work that long, just as when our council waited for a long time to appoint Jack Price in the late fall. I've tried my best to be an advocate for myself, and all I can say is thank you for the time.
Jessica, would you like to give an officer report since you were here?
Honestly, I'll just send it in the group chat. I just can't do that.
Okay, sure.
Maybe like pass it around. I don't know if that's too good. I'm down to it.
Okay.
Sorry, that's my.
All right, wonderful. Let's move into our administrative representatives. Dr. Geller, you want to start off?
I sent around a flyer for a new basic needs program, $5 meal option for students. Share that broadly with anyone interested. Nothing else to share at this point?
Are you going to the basic needs meeting?
The basic needs.
I'm
I'm not heard of that.
That's okay.
No, just the flyer was sent to me to share and I'm sharing. I was actually hoping you as students could go here to Revive. Revive these appear to be two venues in the medical center or school of medicine. So Cafe Med is in CHS and Revive appears to be somewhere in the school of medicine. So programs are in place. I think it's a good guess because when I just Googled it, the first thing that came up was Becca Hall. So probably that area. So it's not limited to medical students, but any UCLA student.
Who sent it to you? Maybe also provided that.
Came from CPO. Russell Castro.
Okay, thank you. Jessica? Yes, so, I know you all received an email from Irma earlier today about stipending staff positions. And she mentioned that for those of you who have limited office budget, you want to, provide your office staff a volunteer, discount form or discount card. It basically gives them the 20% off, ASUCLA employee discount. So my office should have sent you all an email with the documents to add names to. So just take that to HR, and then once HR has it, you can send the students with their room card to go pick it up, and then it's good for the whole quarter. So they'll have to present the discount card and the room card when they use it, but it essentially gets you 20% off most of everything in the store. I think there might be a few exclusions, but.
Is there a max on how many people you can send for that?
Yeah, so whatever is listed on your sheet is the general number that we provide, but if you have more staff than that need access to it, I can try to work with HR, see if we can get some more, additional work for you.
Access to it. When you say the general people on the sheets, what sheet chooses?
Oh, so my staff, my SGS staff sends an email to all of you. It's a Word doc, and it basically says like a volunteer discount form. It's a sheet that you add the name and the student ID number of all of your staff, and then you print out that sheet and take that sheet to HR. That's how they check off people when they get the card. So if you did not get it today, then it will probably come tomorrow, because I know they were making a couple edits, updating the dates for the current academic year. So if it didn't go out today, then it'll definitely come tomorrow. So just keep an eye for that. And then add your students, and you'll have to do it every quarter. So you can either choose to do different people each quarter, or you can do the same people. It's totally into your discretion. And then the other thing that I wanted to remind you all is this Friday, we have another student government workshop for you all. It's hosted by the Office of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. So it's going to be really interesting, really informational. So if you all can attend, it's the same reception room, 11:30 to 1:30 on Friday. And if you can't come, if you can send staff or someone to proxy for you, it's going to be a really great session, and it'll just add on to the sessions we've already been to. And then next Friday will be the final session in Seoul. So definitely come to that as well. You'll be able to meet one-on-one with your Seoul advisor. So I know a lot of you are still waiting to hear from your Seoul advisor. That should be occurring soon, but if you have any there's questions that you need to handle now, just email me and we'll see if we can connect you to someone in Seoul to get help. Or if you want to stop by their office, they're on the first floor of her dock.
right in the corner by the elevator. So if you ever just wanna stop by and say, hey, like, wanted to meet someone, especially if you're trying to set up signatory tags, I know if you have been into that. Just, yeah, either stop by or email me and let me know, and I can try to, get you the link, so you can get in and add yourself and your other signatories that you're choosing for your office.
The discount, does that apply to like food?
Don't think so, it's just, it's like a store, yeah.
So it's clothes and
Yeah.
I think supplies,
Supplies,
not computers,
Not too many,
not.
not too many more.
no. Well, it does apply in like some of the items there, so like, you know, if you're getting those water bottles, the hydro flasks, yeah, like those are sort of situated in the mini mart area, but that would be something that your discount would apply to. So if you just have any questions on that, you can always ask the store employee and they'll let you know if it applies or not.
Awesome. Here
That's right.
you are. Cool, awesome. All right, contingency programming.
This week, there were 10 groups, none of which were recently completed. The total required was $13,647.10. The total requested was $7,788.69, and our total recommendation was $4,625.
Any questions for Ryan? Is there a motion to approve the contingency programming allocation to Obi? Aisha?
Contingency program allocation. Yes, like for
Yeah, and so the amount to non-use items.
4,625.
To non-use items.
To non-use items.
Awesome, thank you. Give me a second. Sorry, I'm long. Okay, we're gonna move into vote roll call vote, beginning with ISP.
Yes.
EUP. General 1?
Yes.
General 2? General 3? CEC? CSC?
Yes.
CAD?
Yes.
BAG?
Yes.
SSC? SUC?
Yes.
TSR?
Yes.
Great, by a vote of 12 to 0, the motion passes, and the contingency programming allocation in the amount of $4,625 is approved. Great. All right, seeing we don't have any old business, we will move into new business. So the first one, Res Leg OCHC Constitution. George? Yes.
The printing room.
Yes.
I've always been such an issue. I emailed like 4, I don't know if you know.
Access or?
No, not access, I have access, just like being able to access the computer, not the room. Like,
Oh,
the
yeah.
login information, I emailed 4 times.
I filled the form out like over a month ago, and it got changed.
Yeah.
I will reach out to Chief and get a status update. But yeah, basically you just fill out the Word doc and email it to the su.sn.tech.support@ASUCLA. And then it's a long email, I know, but yeah, she will set that up for you. So, I think he's out right now, and he's gonna be back later this week. So I will email him and let him know he's back in office to do that first. And I'll just have him send you all of the accounts. This way, even if you didn't fill out the form, I'll just have him make you an account just in case. And then, yeah, you need access to the room, it's on your room card, so just come to the window and add it.
What are the chances of getting color?
So there's no color printer in there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. We could acquire an asset like that, but, I think that would need to be more of a discussion because that could be a potential addition you might want to consider for the new position that will be coming to council next year. So, I mean, we can talk about it, definitely, but like in the short term, if you need color printing, definitely Bruin Custom Print is a really great place to go for color printing. Their prices are pretty reasonable and they'll do just like paper printing or flyers or things like that. But yeah, I mean, if that's something that you also would be a better asset to have, color, sort of bigger machine that can handle large print jobs, we could definitely look into like, pricing some out and then figuring out where we would put it. That sort of thing.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, now we'll move into the discussion on the Res Life OCHC Constitution.
I was wondering, do you mind if we wait for it because the president of OCHC is actually coming? And
Sure.
A couple of other presidents?
Sure.
They're going to be arriving at 9. so-
Sure, yeah, we'll just do out of order. Okay, next is student reassessment. Bethany.
Hello. So basically, I don't know if you all know, but as I said, in the summer, Shrek said they were going to teach us, it's official, Shrek doesn't come to teach us, only the Russian things. So there is currently no campus entity or cooperative suit that funds teachers. That being said, this needs to be a sad thing. I personally believe that, I kind of felt right, like maybe remodeling suit, because we talked about building it, but it was super any funds teacher, it was my, it is a.
Thank you. That's
It's guidelines. I think it might just be worth maybe talking to one of you guys and just seeing what can we do to remodel the suit so that it's not address some of this. And if it can't be done, absorbing it as quickly as possible. Because right now we can't do anything for fall because suit is due next week. But at least knowing that in the future Shrek will not be funding Shrek's doing something that was late. At least take effect winter and then continue to be effective from then. So we can't make any decisions now because I had wanted her to potentially be here, but she had a prior commitment, and I thought that was really lost in it as well. So, I don't know, I'm just bringing this to y'all's attention, and I want to gauge your thoughts. If there's no closing.
So Shrek is fund teachers, right?
Yeah, they used to fund teachers under the premise that they were for risk and crowd management because you'd be able to see a certain color, a certain like block, and be able to basically account for people. But obviously, we all know this, the continuous misuse of these funds to basically just fund teachers, organizations, which in itself is not a bad thing, but it doesn't fall under the scope of risk management. So they have moved away from funding shirts and they will fund drawstring bags, which I guess makes sense. Because technically drawstring bags have the same function as these shirts would. And these are the kind of thing that you can keep afterwards. You don't take shirts back from people, but you could hypothetically take a drawstring bag. I'm thinking that. But they moved away from that because that's what majority of people were applying for. And they also want to, like they were not seeing it being used for risk because they weren't seeing a diversification in design and color. So they were clearly saying it wasn't being used for risk. Some organizations would use it for risk, but most wouldn't. So they moved away from it completely.
Is VO different teachers? Because learn more.
So yeah, no one funds t-shirts but suit. So, you sure? As far as I know, no one funds t-shirts.
Chrissy.
If they do, then they can still finish.
If soup was absorbed under contingency, would contingency then make it to find t-shirts, or would we?
I don't know.
Yeah, she might have been, maybe been sued.
She might have been sued.
Because she managed to do it, yes.
She has much more contingency if suit was a little bit of an issue. Do you think that makes, would that make contingency, like, would that be okay? Where do you think it should go if it's not so?
I mean, I think if it's absorbed in contingency, we do the same thing as already doing, so I don't know if that's most useful. If you really wanted to do something, maybe make a specific t-shirt design using some of the suit design. And it's suit would stop funding t-shirts, and you can make a t-shirt fund, or you can just tell student groups to apply through suit if you want to fund t-shirts. I don't know that absorbing into contingency is the best option. Also, student applications are due this Friday, and basically half of the money is going to be allocated by next Wednesday. So then that will only leave the other half that traditionally gets allocated in January. For us to really do something with, I think it's going to be like a little over $13,000. So it's not really, considering the scope of the budget, it's really. But we can still try to take that and do teacher specific funding.
If y'all want to talk about this later as well, it's really fun for me, it's just something I wanted to bring up, because a lot of campus, like CPO classes trying to pull like all their attention outreach projects to bring people on campus and they get t-shirts. CSC projects do that, like a lot of campus organizations do it, so I think it pertains to the whole campus, especially because most people don't know yet that Trump doesn't know us until they are going to apply for this.
Wait, so.
I was only told last Thursday during our first joint meeting that they would not be coming to us, and it wasn't a discussion, it was just when no one wanted to try to come to us.
And is that like been publicized?
I mean, the new pledge fund guidelines are about to be published in the next 20 days, and in that pledge fund, you will see that there's no longer contract. So when people are going to apply, they will see, but that hasn't been publicized.
Sometimes it makes you. I think that's
I think it's like a good idea to discuss it. I feel like we need to like discuss it, so that it's like something that will end up being relevant.
Yeah. But like, how hypothetically would you?
And like, if we were to change the bylaws and go to SGA. There's also who can charge it.
I also think the question is, where's the money do you bring from?
Right, so to consider
Money.
or we can have a surplus discussion.
That would seem to be the most right.
Right.
Temporary funding, yes. I think it is.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the information. I'll probably bring this up again another time, and hopefully we can, like.
Relating on to Sue, everyone. Next the discussion item that Bella added to the agenda on the PC and has somebody run, do you want to hear background? Do you want me to hear background? Okay, sure. So I think the incident that Bella was referring to, yesterday on UC Davis's campus, I'll send you all the link to the Facebook post right now. But some really flagrant, really upsetting, anti-Semitic posters were put up and disseminated by the Daily Stormer. So it's something that UC Davis is dealing with right now. If I can find any context, let me know, but I'm working on a statement put together by Jewish student leaders across the UC. So the UC Davis student body president is Jewish. Obviously, I'm Jewish. The UC Santa Barbara president is Jewish. And then there's a few members of this Davis and Berkeley Senates, I think, that are also joining on this. So when I get that draft of the statement, I will let you all know. But if I can, provide answer any questions about that, let me know. Bella, I don't know what you wanted to say, but go for it.
No, yeah, I just kind of want to put it on people's radar. Yeah, I do know that this is also disseminated at Berkeley. So it's not crazy to think it could happen here. Just want to make sure we're ahead of the curve.
Do you have more context as to what the Daily Stormer is?
I don't really know. I have a picture of her.
When I was like,
up online, it was described as a white supremacist.
Sorry, send a Facebook post. It's a great.
Yeah, I just had a couple students bring it up to me so that we talk about it on council. Just like, it's awful that anti-Semitism was linked to the Kavanaugh, actually it's not that surprising, but I was like kind of scrolling through the senator's Facebook page, and it looks as though Berkeley is having a kind of like, I think it's like a speaking and hearing kind of hearing and healing like event in light of the Kavanaugh confirmation. I really liked that idea. I don't know if we could something to think about perhaps. Yeah. April.
I mean, I really love the idea of the hearing feeling thing, but I'm just wondering, like, with the time that they've organized about the timeliness, they have like rebranded all the people in general. And not necessarily necessarily focus on the trauma of it. That's good. I'd be really interested in having that.
And I think it's just a way we can support maybe like the BCC event or something like that, because I know they hold a lot of your healing spaces. I'm sure George will speak on that more, but.
Yeah, basically, a lot of their workshops are more towards, surviving on campus, essentially. I mean, I don't know how, like, between the time now and the time, like, so basically between now and when we actually finalize this event, how the timeline of, the political climate has changed. But, I'd be willing to, like, talk about it after and bring in BCC, I'll CC them on the email chain. Yeah.
I think I just saw the flyer that was posted, and I think, needless to say, it's deplorable that these things continue to happen in this day and age, and it's definitely like disappointing to see that this is like happening at the UC when we, purport to be like, I don't know, some sort of, yeah, exactly, liberal, progressive, etc.
Just to echo what's been said, the Davis president and I talked about this. Unfortunately, what we said was that at this point, this is something that we're used to as Jewish leaders on campus, and so like any action that we take, any statement that puts out, like is more so for our communities and for younger students who maybe haven't encountered this sort of thing before. Just if you have Jewish friends, Jewish Aggie friends, Jewish friends in general, ask if they need anything and reiterate that we as student government are here for that, and we don't stand for any of this discriminatory work and imagery or anything of that sort. Again, I kind of lost for words, but when we finalize the statement, I will send it around to you all so you can see it. Okay. Robert, they're coming at 9.
Yeah, I mean, we can discuss this before they start here.
Yeah.
1 second, I'm just gonna tell her. Just so I can give you all some context. So, on-campus housing council is basically the student government entity that runs the Hill. They describe themselves as a government on the Hill, and they operate all the programs you see, whether it's the Haunted Hill, casino nights. They do a lot of social advocacy work on the Hill. It's all students, it's all election based. So they do elections spring quarter and the following quarter elected. There's also a resident government council, so each building on the Hill has their own resident government council. And all these things are dictated by a constitution. So the UCLA OCHC constitution was something originally designated by administration, but throughout the years has been continuously drafted, updated, and remodified by students. So over the summer, this past year, basically that constitution disappeared. And it still exists on the website. You can find it if you look at OCHC constitution for UCLA. The old one is still there. I have had trouble finding the new one that exists, but basically and when I say they, I mean administration, somebody that wasn't students, went in and changed what the makeup is of resident government council. They abolished multiple elected positions on the Hill and replaced them with program assistants, which are hired staff that are not elected positions. And everyone that I've talked to so far about this, including Vanessa, the president that's coming, including myself, and my office is one of the offices on council that is supposed to oversee matters relating to housing and associated areas along with residential life, are not informed of this. The president of OCHC was not informed of this. Presidents of all the buildings were not informed of this. So I don't really know what happened because I think I'm just trying to find answers to this because I think it's extremely concerning that a constitution that is literally described as the residential government constitution was not edited by students or was changed or modified by people that weren't students, and that people who were really big players in government on the Hill were not notified about this at all. So I don't want to do anything without like the consent of like Vanessa or the presidents that are coming to speak tonight, because there are herself and I think 2 other presidents coming. But I do think it's concerning. I do think it's something we should talk about in council. And I do think that we do have the ability to do something, put out some sort of statement or something that just at least asks this question of like what happened with the Constitution, or making sure that we reiterate that it should be students that are suggesting these recommendations, or that administration should be going to students first before making these changes, because I think that this sets a precedent where this was done on USAC, and if our Constitution was modified by administration without our consent, or our bylaws were modified by administration without our consent, I think that would be very, very, very concerning. And one thing I'm getting a lot is that not a lot of students care about what's happening on the Hill, or just don't know what's happening, but I really just don't feel like that's a reason for us not to care. Because like these are student voices, presidents went in, President Government Council this year, thinking they would have a council of people that were elected, and now they don't, and that's happening across the board on the Hill right now, and I just think that we should get answers to it.
Do you know which administrators did this change?
No.
Do they know?
I know administrators that work at Res Life, and I think they all have really, 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 really good intentions. I don't know specifically who did this.
Have you had the opportunity to like reach out to them and inquire more in regards to like even Vanessa and herself as well? Like, has anybody?
I've met with Vanessa twice about this, and Vanessa's coming tonight to this council meeting. I wanted to address it with the students first who are leaders on the Hill before bringing up with administrators, because I want to make sure that we're not misinterpreting anything, or that we're not conflating the issue to something that it might not be. Because I know they've done a lot of work already trying to address this with administration, and I know the president specifically of buildings have met with administration to discuss this. So I want to make sure that they're the ones leading how we can support them and what they think council should do, rather than us going to administration first, I think is the idea.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So our support on the back end will just come from any updates from Vanessa and the other students on the.
Yeah, and one thing I talked about is that there's the option of a resolution, and it supports the Hill and the Constitution and the government that exists there, or that requests in the future that students are consulted about these sort of issues.
Can we touch on a little bit in terms of the decisions that are made? Because I feel like that would be a really big part in regards to getting other students to care about it. So like, for instance, like what kind of decisions would the on-campus housing council make, and how does it impact students?
So part of the fees that students pay when they live on the Hill go towards OCHC and towards resident government, and Jay and other people who are involved in this process can also answer that. So the Hill puts on programs, they put on Hill-wide programs, they put on court-wide programs, and they put on building-wide programs. All of those things are either concerned with like pure pleasure, community building. Usually it's all centered around community building. It's like kind of the motto, and under that is pleasure, social justice, advocacy, mental health, those sort of things. So whether it's a huge program that costs $20,000, like Haunted Hill, just something we've done on a yearly basis, whether it's something like building-wide programs that talk about social justice issues on campus, foods.
So how do we do that with trying to maintain an equilibrium?
Sorry?
How does Res Life effectively manage to do social justice like programming and still manage to be, or still strive to be equitable?
That's
like how effective is that? Oh, that's fine.
You're asking how does Res Life claim to be a political but also engage in social justice programs?
Yeah.
I don't know. That can be something they could involve maybe Jay can answer and maybe Res Life. They're not in charge of social advocacy, but they put on programs. So I know they do stuff like, for example, food for finals, which is usually designed for students who might not be able to afford food during finals week or whatever to go and get food. Hi, I'm not going to talk more actually. You can answer these questions. Hi, Diane. You want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, introduce yourselves, your position, how you joining.
But I'm Vanessa, I met some of you already, but I'm this year's president of USAC, which is on-campus housing council. We kind of run everything that's student related on the Hill, so yeah.
Hi, I'm Cameron. I am the president for Enter Call.
Hi, I'm Diana, I'm the president of Project East. So should we just go into it?
Yeah, so I was just letting them know about what my concerns were and what I think the concern is, just especially regarding the Constitution and how that process came to be. So if you all could just explain that process, how you all were informed about that, and then what you all are doing currently to address that issue, that would be really great.
So just in the background, I was in RDC, which is Resident Government Council last year for River Hall. And so this year they changed the structure of RDC to be only the president, treasurer, and OCC rep. And then they canceled out 3 positions, so 3 new positions called program assistants. So basically the RDC cabinet was more than cut in half, and then there's 3 new positions added that are going to be paid hourly under the university. And we were all paid stipends last year. So other than that, for OCHC, we are all now like open membership for Team Green and NRHH, which are also like different teams under our like umbrella. So that has no longer like NRHH rep or Team Green reps from each building. It's kind of just like all, like anyone can join, like an open and voluntary sort of thing. So that's basically all the changes that, there's more changes, but that's like, yeah.
Can students apply for program assistance?
Yeah, so any student that lives on the hill, program assistants, and then we have to live in that building. But they are hired into the university, not paid for that building. Okay, yeah.
So these people are already been hired for the structural changes?
Yeah, can you tell me what's
Yes, so the deadline for hiring PAs was this last weekend. So all of the PAs should be hired by now, just so that they are processed by HR and ready for training this Friday. Also, the positions for RDC should have been filled by now, including the CHC rep from those buildings. Besides that, any other questions?
So could you talk with all 3 of you, I mean, I know that you all have unique experiences about like, for example, when you learned that this was a completely new process for, and then that sort of process of how you all interacted with the administration since this came to be, since you all found out that there were these major changes to the Constitution.
So from my perspective, we applied for the position believing that it was going to be the prior model, and then we were not aware of it until we came to training, basically, at the beginning of September.
I was notified the week before training started. It was all really new to me. I think they posted a few webinars to kind of introduce everyone to it, but no one really logged on to that. So we were all really caught by surprise. And so the presidents and treasurers have been coming together as a group to kind of discuss about what we think is the pros and cons about it and how we can move forward.
And just to be clear, none of you all consulted beforehand about potential changes, because I know, Diana, you were working on completely separate changes to the Constitution, is that correct?
Oh yeah, so last year kind of the problem that we had the most was accountability, because when we received stipends, it was difficult to see, you know, like quantify how much work have you done compared to someone else in that same position, do you deserve your stipend or not? That wasn't really being done, and it differed from community to community, so we did have a commitment to help rewrite the Constitution in order to really like solidify our rules and stuff, because everyone had an understanding of what each rule was. So there wasn't a lot of consistency. So that's really where this like change stems from, where you have like the resident director more overseeing the programming assistants rather than us overseeing each other.
Do you know who made the changes by any chance? Like what entity in Red Flag like dropped this new model, and if they reached out to any like OCHC alum to get feedback?
So they told us that they were going to feedback from past RDC members, past presidents and treasurers, and past OCHC or RAs, the people who were in charge of it, the director of student education, and then the assistant, and then also, what's Michelle's?
She's area coordinator for Danette.
Danette, yeah.
So virtually everyone but you all.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So I already asked you this, Vanessa, I'm just going to ask again so the rest of the council knows. So have you found evidence to show that that is true? That, because from my understanding, like I sat on the President's Council for the Hill last year, we never discussed this. Diana, did OCHC discuss this change?
We discussed amending the constitution, but we never had time to actually get to it. I think that was for me.
So abolishing those 3 positions and putting on program assistants, that wasn't discussed in OCHC either. And neither was it with the executive, I'm assuming. So I guess just what I'm saying is, has there been evidence to find that that statement that administration is saying was discussed with prior students from outside, that's not been proven true yet, is that correct?
Yeah, they kind of just said it, that they pulled from past feedback. So they definitely didn't, I don't think, pull from feedback from us. Like, we are in discussion now. Like, after we did come back from the summer, we have been meeting with them weekly to kind of follow up on why we feel like this is unfair. And there've been like progressive steps to kind of amend that relationship with each other.
This might be a really dumb question, but does each building have its own RGC? Okay, and then all of those, not many, but like smaller entities, if you will, are all together in the CHD.
So like each building would be like a state, and like the CC could be analogous to federal.
Thank you.
So my question would be, and like I have my personal like maybe interpretations or like thoughts, but like just asking you all, why should the students on the Hill care about this? Right? How is it relevant to them? Like obviously it is for X, Y, or Z, but like in your opinion, why should this be something that concerns the students? And then I guess like, what sort of support do you all want, need, or would like to see from our on?
I can answer from my own personal experience. But I would say that it's an important issue because it's student government, just like how this is student government. The changes on the Hill that are supposed to be by the student government should be by the students. So the fact that this organization does have a student-created constitution that outlines both how this process should have happened and how the constitution should have been changed. That was not necessarily followed. That was probably our biggest concern. Besides that, I would say, yes, if student government isn't run by students, or the structure of it is not determined by students, then what voice do students really have in what goes on in their living space? And so then support, I would say that I'm not entirely sure at this moment, because a lot of what we're doing has been collecting as presidents and treasurers and kind of holding meetings and negotiations with the people who implemented these changes and kind of seeing what we agree with, what we don't agree with. So that conversation is still in the works. Besides that, I would like to open up a conversation about how this breaching of our Constitution should be handled, I guess, in this case, and how can it be prevented in future cases. I think that the main point that hasn't been answered yet is what's preventing this from happening again. So.
Would you be interested in streaming your show? What I mean by that is after you finish your speech, what you would do is you create a call to action. And is that something that you guys would be willing to do? So that can be composed of many things, but it just depends, because that's another thing too, like, these students take a significant amount of money, some students take alcohol, some students do a lot of, space, and because literally a lot of people's financial packages are put together to factor in the cost of what it is to like live on the Hill. And as like leadership there, I guess my question is, when things do not count in your favor, are you like willing to like do all actions? I feel like that's where we would probably be most helpful in regards to outreaching and making sure that it's larger than just some students on the Hill. And that's just because that way they know that if we acknowledge this to be as controversial as it is, that's one method
to ensure that this doesn't happen in other areas or even to the same specific cases?
Going off of that, something that someone in my office is working on, at a UCSA level is, so his name's Aiden. He reopened an ad hoc committee in UCSA that focuses solely on student government autonomy from administration. And he's incredibly passionate about it and is looking at all of the questions that you have at both like a campus level as like his experience with seeing what happened with the election last year, and a case like this especially, and then also applying that at a like UC-wide level. And so I would love to connect you guys with him so you can like have a conversation. So what will that look like?
So one reason that I'm most hesitant or confused about what course I'm actually trying to take is because a part of me does support some of the changes that they made. Before these changes, and the reason for these changes is that prior, the RGC role very much functioned as creating programming and events for their communities. And that work, I personally believe, should be a paid job position, and that's why they created the PAs. And I believe that the only reason that we are now able to have this discussion is because those programming and event planning responsibilities have been kind of delegated to a new position, and we're now able to actually act as student government and be angry about these issues.
Yeah, I was just gonna say another course of action that I talked with Vanessa about was like, there is this rally cry call to action you all can take, but there also is like a resolution. And like, from what I've understood through my talks with you, Vanessa, is that what you all really want to solidify is like making sure this doesn't happen again. And it sounds like, I mean, Karen, you are in agreement that you are trying to send a message that administration cannot come in and just, whenever they want to change or abolish the Constitution. What we do in USAC a lot of the time is that council members agree to write one. We write and basically put forth a resolution that basically makes demands saying, we, the Undergraduate Student Association, demand this, that, and the other. And in this case, it could be something along the lines of we demand that student voices on the Hill are heard, that the Constitution stays in students' hands, that the administration doesn't intervene. So when it does happen again, there was literally a resolution sent to administration in Red's Life that shows that we voted on that, so that there's evidence that this happens. There is, oh, go ahead, yeah.
No, he's on the money. Actually, don't do resolution, but do what he's saying. Like, you need to figure out in your constitution, you can apply a law change. It has to be a law that states the constitution that there cannot be any amendments, changes to this constitution without the, recognition of like, or without consult students. Like, for instance, like the USA Constitution, not America does. Like, in order to make an amendment to the constitution, we need about 2,000 students, like about 15% of UCLA's population to engage in back this. And I think that that's something that you guys can do. So that way you set a precedent. So that way if something happens again, you're like, you violate this constitution, and there's a lot of pushback to say that this is not allowed to happen. And so that's something you might, if at all plausible, propose it. If it's unsuccessful, then you know
Just for clarification, your, like, the other constitution, one with like through out the window, that didn't have anything on it saying like there has to be a vote for them to be like.
So Anna may be the best to speak on this.
So there's absolutely nothing in the constitution about that. Our constitution only like consists of like what our goals are and responsibilities. But again, it was very open to interpretation. The reason we didn't have that is because Red Light, like along with every other like our counterparts in other schools, we're supposed to have like our own CHC representatives, like have like 2/3 vote. But yeah, because there's nothing in there, I guess that's why.
So it wasn't stated that we
It's not the best rule we follow. It's
Okay.
a very spoken.
So it basically violated the best practices as opposed to policy.
I want to say that I want to be sure that any sort of action that we take isn't blurring any sort of lines with what our actual purview is, right? Like this, like USAC's council, so I wanna make sure that if we're to draft a resolution, if anything were to happen, and it's not to put labor on you all, but I wanna make sure that it's your spirited effort that we're supporting, so that we're not hijacking any sort of like, influence or whatnot. So I want to be clear on that. And also, like, TV, hope you all come, my resident experience as you asked me. Sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and do it again, see, I suppose, but I've been part of resident for the past 4 years in like cities, and this has been not a sign or anymore, but this has been like a recurring issue, like time and time again. Like I have an email here pulled up from October 27, 2015, back when Karen Hedges still worked in Westlake, where they said that they were trying to like get students to show up to this day that they called a hackathon to like determine a course of action for any sort of like restructuring of the Constitution and the system that existed. This was back when we were still called Hill Government Representatives or HGRs. And my qualm with that was that since then, and they're not standard, but like these sorts of workshops have been like kind of not accessible to everyone, right? Like this one here states that like if you were, this is a 10 to 4 event on a weekend or a weekday, I don't know, but at any rate, that is a large amount of time, and that like students, right, like sometimes cannot commit to because of work, because of this or that, you know what I'm saying? And so like so I guess I'm saying that this has been a recurring theme from years back, where like, at least, I guess, back in the day, they tried to make an effort to get students to come out, very few students did, and basically what happened in that instance was the administration did have a large, say in what took place, because not very many students, like they said, oh, we made it available to people didn't show up, so now we basically have a mandate to do, what we think is best with the limited number of students actually came. I'm not sure if that's something that we consider, from what I can tell, maybe not, but that's my point, like, that this is, I guess, something that has been a recurring theme. And so I do want to support you all, but I just want to make sure that anything that we do is, like, comes from you all. How do you agree with this?
Yeah, I just have a couple questions. So like, I really appreciate what you said about like it not being super accessible to the webinar. I was wondering if that already, I mean, most people are going to show up and really watch that unless it's really incentivized. But I was just wondering, is anybody who goes to the H season here over the summer, or maybe here over the summer, next to guys?
I came like 1 week before training, and so like 2 weeks before week 0. And so they had a graduate intern working on a lot of things too, but I would never ask to like come in. It was kind of like if you wanted to, you can, but it was never something that was mandatory for me to come here this summer. But yeah, but I was here over the summer, and it was an OA with Jesus office assistant. It was just never something that we were not paid to like.
I mean, it sounds like that's when all the change happens, right? So like, maybe it would be a good thing to try to institutionalize like whatever needs the Constitution or whatever, like you're there over the summer, if you work over the summer, you're set over the summer to do this, like it was some second, someone's already here, so there's some oversight like in those times, just something to like.
My concern too is like, Diana, you can hit on me. We worked together last year, and I saw a lot of the work that you did with the Constitution, and I know how much you cared about it. Like, just reading through it, it just looks to me like there's a lot of obscurity about who actually holds power on the Hill. And like, you get the name that's the residential government Constitution, and that they prioritize student government, but there is no specific clauses in there that really dictate that it is you all who are making these decisions to the Constitution and whatnot. So I agree with the other council members, including Jay, that like that needs to be all to your all's discretion, deciding how you all want us to support you and everything. But just from my personal experience, and I agree with Jay, is that this is something that has been ongoing. And in my time in Res Life, I've also seen this. And the administrators who work in Res Life have been working there a long time. So like, I don't want to say that they know what they're doing, but I think they know what they're doing. And I think that we need to somehow include or support you all if you also choose to, to include this in the Constitution, or to update the Constitution to give it a direct student voice and, a direct student mandate to oversee the government on the Hill, and to make sure that the Constitution is only changed by you all or by your all's direction. And specific guidelines too, not just, something like through consultation with students, because it's really easy. I've heard from students saying, yeah, ResLife consulted students, but who, clearly not people that should have been consulted. So giving specific direction about how they should be consulted is something that I strongly recommend you all consider. And if you all want our support in something like a resolution, and you all want to take leadership in even writing a resolution that we can publish, and you all be like some sort of honorary signatory or something, that would be something that you all can definitely consider.
Really should be here. Wrong.
You should be. Vanessa doesn't actually. I talked to Vanessa. You don't actually. Neither of us know Rob's official capacity within Red's lives. I don't.
He's not from the assistant director.
We know who the assistant director is, the director.
Because he's responsible for the supervision of the RD, so if the RDs are the ones who are doing this changes.
Okay, maybe, yeah.
He does what community service and partnerships and sustainability, just like the committee, emergency preparedness sometimes, the judicial, that's other stuff. But basically for RDs, in terms of resident housing, he has other positions, but that might be something, if he's not later on. But I can give you this email address if you have. I'm sure you guys do, right?
I have never heard this name.
Okay.
Honestly, I've never been to Russell.
Yeah. So CAC has been anti-resident for a while now. We noticed the trend of it being controlled by the adults and have salaries that are being paid huge amounts rather than the students. So maybe for us, as a way to support it, we kind of boycott co-programming on the Hill, which I know is really tempting because y'all do have a monopoly on first and second year. It is unfair, but it's okay. It's not your fault. But maybe if we say if you don't listen to the students, then we're not going to co-program with you, because that's basically what they are doing.
The one concern I have with that is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's OCHC who's putting on those programs. So if we boycott their programs, we're not necessarily boycotting ResLife, we're boycotting their own student government, is my concern. Is that correct enough? That it's you all who are in charge of those programs, not admin?
We execute them out, when we plan it, we go through weeks and weeks of it, the haunted hill thing, you heard casino night, is also big on this day, but our budget, we want it. Maybe that's something where students aren't paying on their housing.
Or something like that. I mean, obviously not just that, because of that,
I mean, I really think that a good, this, once again, I want you all to really direct this, but before doing such drastic measures, I think that getting a statement out there that makes these demands to the Constitution and seeing if they actually make those things happen is a really good first step, because then if they don't, then this council and your all council do have a lot of leverage to move forward in a more drastic manner. But I don't know how the rest of the council feels about that, but I just really feel like that's a good first step, is to make that demand or request that it is explicitly put in your all's Constitution that it is students who run, the government on the Hill.
I love being drastic, so I'm going to be drastic. You really don't want to go for that. They can't not let people live there, because then they don't have money.
I feel like there's a big collective action problem though, and you'll get a couple students that are down when they lose their house.
I also feel like, I just feel like if OCHC and USAC came together and demanded this from admin, they would do it. I really believe that if we came together on that issue, I know the people that you're working with and you do too, I think they're willing to put that in the Constitution if there is a voice to do so. Do you all think that's accurate?
If you drafted a resolution.
Yeah.
I would say that they've been very good about working with us so far. We've had 2 meetings so far where we voiced our concerns, and a lot of it, they were like, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. So we're kind of trying to just force their hand on certain things, and they've been willing to change certain things. But I think that, yeah, one large problem that hasn't been fully fleshed out is what's preventing them from doing this. So,
Okay, so I have another question. You know how you said like it was pretty positive? Were they being polite or were they being receptive? Like receptive? So there's a difference.
yeah, I believe that they were being receptive. So, like, some of the things that we requested were, that they basically got rid of the RGC specific fund. So before there was association fund and RGC fund, they switched it to association fund and PA fund, and then there's no RGC fund. And so we complained about that, and they immediately were like, yeah, we'll change it so that it's RGC and PA fund. Which, that's the programming assistant.
So non-government positions.
People hired to
Yeah.
do programming, yeah, so they had a fund, but the government itself, like the president, treasurer, and the OCC, right, did not have a specific fund that we could allow to do programming.
Yeah, the reason that was a problem is because that forces us to do like retroactive funding, so we have to spend like, for some of our events, like $100 out of the borrowing pocket, and then, maybe representatives like a week or two later, vote on whether or not we can approve it, but you've already spent your own money, and like, let's say your community doesn't approve it, then you lost your money, you know.
But that's just like one example of something that like they immediately were receptive to and changed. You were in
I think for most of it, they were like, let's just see how this plays out, like see how the PAs, because we were also concerned that the relationship between PAs and the government will be working together, will they be doing any programming? So there's like, let's just see how it plays out. This happens in the past, we've had PAs in the past. So it worked then, maybe like, just see how it goes. Because they've hired everyone already, so it kind of just like, see how it
That's fine. Do you think that they would be receptive if you wanted to be like, hey, we need to review this constitution, we need to do this, basically, what we're saying, like, what we've been saying, not having any changes made without consent, like, going to the current student, basically. Do you think they'd be receptive?
Yes, I think that if we went to the next meeting with that being our number one focus and our number one demand, that they would go along with it. But from what I've read off of them, my own perception is that like they weren't like eager for that to occur. They weren't particularly eager for us to be like revising the Constitution. That's not necessarily what they were pushing us to do. So I'm not sure if like if we didn't push hard enough, they probably would just like hope that it like passed. But I don't think that they're going to actively stop us or resist us in changing things.
Will you be able to do that without the help of USAC? This is saying we don't want to open it, but this is decision cost. We think we're in a good position right now to move forward with some course of action, which would be revising the Constitution with force, because we know that there's hesitance.
And going off of that, would something like resolution help or would it not, do you think?
Right now, off of the two first meetings, they've been pretty receptive, so it kind of makes me wonder, like, if we do need more force this way, because our priority has kind of been just like amending the changes that they were doing. Like, how can we just get back a little bit about what we've been changing this year, you know? Asking for like a stipend because there is like an equal pay. But other than like the whole constitution part and like totally neglecting it, that part is not been our priority in these conversations, so maybe if we try to bring it up and see how they respond to that first. But that hasn't been on like top of our list, you know, our discussions.
Since it seems that like they're receptive, would it, do you think that it would improve the meeting to like talk about all the things that you want to have changed? And then once you succeed in that area, then do the bylaw change in terms of there can be no constitutional change without like whatever stipulation that you guys come up with. Because I feel like that would probably be the most action statements. But I'm asking them, would that work for you guys in terms of like what you're trying to accomplish?
So you're just saying like go like ask them for change and see how receptive they are first.
Well, I'm saying like accomplish and then once you have achieved your goals in terms of like reversing the things that were done, then institution of bylaw change and like changes cannot be made without the consult of students on the Hill, whether that's the council, whether that's the leadership, or the larger constituency. Whatever stipulations and like language you guys prefer to use, up to you, but like with that process or like methodology be helpful to you?
Yeah, at this point right now, I would say that what I believe to be the best course of action would be to finalize whatever discussions we're having around what specific things we want to change. And ending that conversation with a recognition that this was not the right way to bring about these changes, and that this methodology of changing the Constitution will not occur again. And then from there, reinforcing the Constitution to reflect what we believe are the appropriate decisions.
So if, let's say, they acknowledge that it wasn't constitutional, they're not going to do it anymore, what would happen to the changes? Would they stay, or are they?
We already hired people, we already done all these interviews, so.
Are these people students? Okay, because I do feel it would be nice to also have in the conversation as well. I think it'd be nice to get the perspective of other kind of students in here.
I think the PA is kind of like a new thing that no one has really done before. But like the students that are hired, they've never really been experienced. So I don't know how much you would have because they're just like, oh, city programming. It's basically just like we used to have a facilities at each building who would do all the RA programming. So they're basically just taking over that. So it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of just like another paid hourly job that we just set up the room or whatever and kind of do logistical stuff. But perhaps each stressful that more than the
Do you know, I guess personally, do you know how they're feeling about, because I feel like this is a big constitutional discussion about them.
Are you talking about like the PAs that have been hired?
I just feel like.
I believe that the majority of them don't even know what the changes are. I would say like for my building specifically, like I'm a first year community, the majority of my applicants were all first years. They most definitely do not understand that even changes have occurred, and I don't think they understand the methodology that those changes were implemented for the signature.
And it's largely because they weren't working there last year, so they weren't even consulted on the changes because they weren't even a part of President.
Who did the work like before they introduced this position? Like, was it elected students on the Hill? Because I remember there being like some type of election, but I'm not sure.
Yes, so before the PA assistant, the elected positions on the Hill, there were about 8 of them, maybe more. I believe we had like 10. But there were 10 members of the resident government council for every building, and they were in charge of all building-wide programming. That included things like the blood drive and finals, things like that. And now a lot of those responsibilities have been moved to the PAs. They are now in charge of 3 building-wide programs per quarter. And RGC is no longer solely responsible for putting on any building-wide programs. The only programs that they are responsible for are ones that they see fit for furthering whatever advocacy agenda they have.
But anyone can apply to them, or is it like admin or designating specific students for those jobs?
So anyone can apply for the RGC positions and anyone can apply for the PA positions. Then they go through, the PAs go through an interview process and will be appointed. The RGC positions, that's kind of up in the air right now. This year, they already had presidents and treasurers that were appointed in the spring of last year. And then they didn't want to hold elections for one position, the OCHC position, the only other RGC position that is still kept this year. And so they went ahead and had applications and interviews and appointed that position this year's month. However, in the future, what pro staff currently wants is elections in the fall. However, the presidents and treasurers of this year are in agreement that the spring appointment model was a better fit for the responsibilities of president and treasurer.
Did that answer your question?
Then George is going to be the last comment.
Sorry, does anyone have any more pressing questions about this discussion?
I have one, just after your stuff.
You go ahead. No, I was just gonna talk.
So I just want to like make it clear again that like the concern here, because I feel like we're kind of delving off into these specifics about like if we think programming systems are good or bad, or if we think the new structure is good or bad, like the overarching concern here is just that like administration shouldn't have changed the Constitution, it should have been students, because like I just feel like the questions we're asking now are more things that OCHC should be the ones delineating, not us. Because like we can debate all day about those like structures, but like we're all in agreement here that the Constitution should be the thing that's modified by students. Is that on your reason at least correct? Okay, and that's all I wanted to ask.
That's pretty much what I was going to kind of go off of, is that our general advice we use to do these like amendments to the Constitution, the resolution, like that, and then have those, you know, the discussion that you're having with admin. And then, I mean, if they're being receptive, if you haven't really talked about, you know, changing the Constitution, writing in the resolution or whatever, I feel like that's our general advice as council, and then come back to us if you finish the discussion, have any more questions in terms of like how we can be part of this. But yeah, delving into this, like all those specifics that we've been talking about for 30 minutes now, I think would probably be more helpful to you after you've been a little bit more, you know, after the relationship with that admin has been a little bit more established.
Let us know in the future how we can support you. However, to reiterate Jay's point, I don't want this to be like a USAC spearheaded initiative because I found that inappropriate. So, however, whatever we can do in our capacities, let us know. If that's nothing, fine, but we're always here if you need a sounding board or if you need some institutional planning. Yeah, but again, this is y'all's fight. We're more than happy to support, but we're not gonna have to write it. Cool? All right, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, are there any other last thoughts, comments, concerns, announcements?
Really quick, I just wanted to remind you all, if you can fill out the doodle, I can resend it, but if you all want to have another ACE workshop for your staff, please like talk to your staff and find out what day/time works for them, and then you can just fill out the doodle on behalf of your office, and we'll try to pick a day/time that works the best for most of you. And then, you know, we're willing to like condense it, make it a little bit shorter so that we can get you, like, your staff in and out in an hour, and we'll also provide food for that too. So, yeah, if that's something that you all want to move forward with, just try to fill out the deal so we can actually like book the space and like get it on everybody's calendar as soon as possible.
Just a reminder that this Friday, 11:30 to 1:30 is the workshop being presented by EDI. They're going to address implicit bias and intergroup dialogue. And they promised to make it an interactive workshop, not just a presentation. Food from Rubio's. Feel free to send one of your.
All right. I know we're all setting on Rubio. Okay, any last comments, concerns, announcements? Okay, but I will formally adjourn the meeting at 9:33 p.m. All right, please stay for the welfare. Thank you. I don't want to yell over you all. Okay, great, we're gonna move to welfare. Remember, this is informal and off the record. Can we, yeah? Oh, Robert?
Yep. It's informal, but not USAC live.